Well, hey,
There it is.
welcome everybody to the I Am Show.
Hello, welcome.
We're your esteemed hosts today and moving forward, Adonis Templo and Michael Wynn.
Woo,
Yeah, I
woo.
mean, you can hear that low clap in the background, right?
It's a good clap. It's a good clap.
But I gotta tell you about this experience I had last week, like it was last Friday,
Yeah, yeah,
right before we kick off this show. Is the wildest time.
yeah,
And so, I'm out with work people, right? We're out in Chicago
yeah, yeah,
and doing work stuff, having work dinners, a work dinner from a personal dinner is a different thing, right? Like a work dinner, you can only get so deep. A personal dinner, you can get all the way,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You're reserved. You're like, hey, I got to keep up this persona that I am a mature adult. I don't, that I make only good decisions.
Yeah,
Right. So you get this facade going. Anyways, so we ended up like going down to the alleys because in Chicago and these big cities like New York, as you know, right?
uh,
The speakeasy scene, the secret bar scene
yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah,
a thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's like you're down an alley and take a left, and boom, you're like in this Vegas style club,
yeah, yeah. It's awesome.
right? And then
So
boom, you're
crazy.
back out,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
It's in and out.
Anyways, and so okay, to set this, I haven't been to the club in, man, it's been a long time,
Yeah,
right? I want to say the last time I've been to the club is maybe with you or in Vegas, something like that. But those clubbing experiences don't count, right? This is more
yeah,
of a local flair, right? I,
yeah,
I
yeah,
would say it's been at least like a decade. Let's just say a decade, right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
I've been in the club. But man, like so we down this alley to go to this tiki bar. We took a left and then boom, we were at this club. And it was like a low key hot spot, right?
yeah.
Apparently that's where people meet up to do drugs. I was like, okay, cool. I don't I wasn't be doing it that night, but I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's nice to be sober every once in a while and see it all go down, right?
Yeah,
As like a DD does, right?
yeah, for sure.
Dude, I've met like all of like the designated drivers in our groups and stuff like that we've had over the years. They have some of the best stories because they're sober. They
Yeah,
remember it all.
yeah. They're recording everything
Anyways,
mentally.
so we find ourselves in this club, and it's getting packed, dude. The scene's out. People are picking up tables, and the wildest thing is that people are dressed in tuxedos, suits. I mean, they're like this is like something that you see in How I Met Your Mother, right? Where Barney dresses up to go out, right? Like this is what everybody was like looking good, man. Like
Yeah,
either A, they're leaving a rehearsal dinner or a wedding, or B, that's just how they party. But and
yeah,
like throughout the night, right? Like I thought it was just a maybe momentary thing, but more and more people came in with the same look. And so that's like the trend, right? Like this like 80s like sophisticated, fabulous style,
yeah,
right? Women with their mink scarves, I guess, in a way, where it's like an animal around their neck.
yeah.
That type of stuff, right? With pearls and jewelry. I'm like, wow, man, this is amazing, right? And I just think back to the clubs of all those times that, we would go out and, right, us and our crew, looking good, hitting the
Yeah.
scene, those types of things.
Yeah,
And,
that's always like the
you know,
best.
but back then, like, you always kind of thought about it as like, I'm here looking good, right? Like we're number one, right? But like that night, I'm in my 40s now. I'm in the club. I'm like, yo, everybody's like a number one right now.
Yo, yeah. It's fun when you see that.
Right?
Like everyone's like just to the fucking nines and shit. It's real clean. You're like, all right,
But it's good to
cool.
see, man. Fashion is alive, right? I'll
Yeah,
tell
for
you that,
sure.
man. Fashion going out looking good, people still, at least in the cities, man, they take that seriously, bro. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I was talking to my homegirl out there, like she's like, I've got like 29 different pairs of blue jeans. I'm like jeans, right? Like, no, she's like, no, just blue jeans. I'm like, shit, 29 pairs. That's
That's crazy.
that's what
That's
it's like to go out
awesome.
in the city.
That's nice. That's really nice. That's a good
But man,
that's a good amount of jeans.
and like I swear the night, like I spent like an hour in the club, and I felt like it was like 4 hours.
Yeah. When you told me, I was
It
like,
was.
it was like from like what 9 to 12 or whatnot. But it sounded like you're out there for a while. I was like, damn, that's awesome.
But here's the thing that hit me, right? The difference in age, right? Is okay. So the music is pumping, right? You got live DJ, you got somebody on the bongo drums, like hitting the bass, right?
Yeah.
And then and so it's real loud, right? The environment is noisy, right? But I don't know if you remember back then, but people in their 20s can have a full out like deep conversation while they're standing next to a speaker.
Yeah, yeah, for
Right,
sure.
but as you get older, right, you tend to like prefer like more quieter places like bars where you can hear people talk. And like in your 40s, you're like, yo, like, can we just turn the music down like 90%? So I can hear people talk. But dude, people are, and I was talking to like young people and they're like trying to have a full conversation with me. And I'm just
Yeah,
like, dude, like I don't have the same hearing as I did before in my 20s.
yeah. I
Like
feel
the
you.
beat is like really getting me, man. I can't hear the
Yeah,
words that you're saying through, but
yeah. And when you hear the beat,
that's
you're
like
just like,
the
oh,
realization,
yeah. You just want to
right?
start
Is that
dancing too.
when you're young, man, you can have like these fruitful conversations like in like chaos environments, right?
Yeah.
You can have like a car wreck around you, right? And like you're just having a conversation. But as you get older, right, like you're hearing everything, like your attention, something it changes to where you need less sound, right? So you can hear the actual conversation more, or maybe as you get older, you want to have more like deep conversations, like or more meaningful conversations. So it tends to be like just you and that person,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
having that
yeah,
dialogue.
yeah.
Man, but that was a heck of a night, man. It's just to be in the clubs again. I mean, shots were like $26 for two shots. I'm like,
Yeah, it's just
okay.
wild. Yeah.
I was like, oh no. I'll just take I'll just take what do you call it? Like, they call it behind the rack, right? I'll take
Oh
your
yeah.
house, right? Your house vodka. I'm like, yeah, no, it's $26. I was like, what?
Bro, that shit adds up quick. Even with beers and stuff, like in big cities, you're just like, what the fuck? We had like 4 beers. It was like $40, like 30 something. I was like, damn, that's for fucking beer, like four rounds of beer. I was like, what the fuck, really? That's like a mixed drink, like on the cheap spot. Like I miss those places where you get a shot and a fucking beer for like $8. Those are good spots. A shot and a beer. Those are good spots.
Well, so there's ways to get there, right? Even in this environment, right? That's
Mhm.
but it requires some logistics, right? So okay, let's say you know, okay, in Chicago, right? If you go to the 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 green stores, that's what we'll call them the green stores,
Yeah.
right? Dude, like a disposable vape is like and like a 2 gram to like 2 milligrams is like $90 to $100. I'm like, why? What are you talking about? Like, and it's like, oh, that's just our prices. That's just how we do our taxes and shit. I'm like, yo, fuck you, dude. Right? I'm gonna pay for it this time, right? Because I want it. But next time, yo, I'm not getting it here. In
Seriously,
Chicago, period, bro.
yo, in that moment too, because you want it in that moment so bad. So whatever price it is, I've been in so many like vape stores, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll just pay the price. Even just like a mini vape, that bitch is like 25, $30. You're like, man, I just wanna like fuck it, whatever, I'll just pay it right now. But yeah, like for later, no. $90 though, that's wild for a green piece. That's crazy. But yeah, you're in that
Ridiculous,
moment,
right?
so you're like, I'll take it, fuck it.
So everything, I mean, generally everything in the city is expensive, right? But
Yeah.
let's say you wanted to go have a like relaxing weekend or a trip, and you wanted to like be in nature and all that stuff like that and get the best price that you could possibly get on greenery,
Yeah.
right? You go to Michigan.
Oh shit.
Michigan has that, right? And so like this guy he showed me his receipt, right? This is like somebody I was traveling with. He just came back from Michigan. I was like, okay. So I'm looking in this thing. I was like, okay, You bought 3 vapes. You bought like 5 pack of gummies. Like, okay, wow, that's a lot of gummies. All
Yeah, yeah.
right. You bought green. You bought pre rolls. You bought like there's probably like I want to say like 20 items, right? 20 like in the it's our first quantity, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Give it what you will. But all that together was like $400, right? And I was like, dude, that's like supply for a year.
Yeah. Seriously though,
Right?
with that price, yeah.
And so I was like, wow. So that's the thing, right? Like you can have the experience that you want to have at the right price, but you just gotta you have to compromise on location and locale,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And what you're doing and make it worthwhile. And so, I mean that and just anything else, but like yeah, when you're in the moment, man, you're like, yo, yeah, let me just go ahead and pay like the fucking $125 for a normal vape, right?
It's wild because you're like, oh man, let's just hop in and see, and they give you the price. You're like, all right, fuck it, I'll just go for it. There's been so many times, and whenever I buy it, I only use it really just for that night. And I'm like, damn, yeah, I'm not really gonna use it. I'll try to bring it with me for the next nights, but I always just forget until I'm in that moment where like I want to fucking vape. I'm like, oh shit. But yeah, I had this one vape here forever. Like I went out like this past weekend and that shit's still here. I didn't buy Lucy's at the bodegas, and I still don't bring them with me. At the fucking, I'm like, yeah, it just it's it's really at that moment, like that's it, like one hit and you're good. You're like, dang, okay, shit,
But sometimes that works out better, right?
yeah,
Let's just say because like if you have an addictive personality or you pick up things quickly, then
yeah,
you know uh, you know uh, getting them in the moment is more of a way to handle it than
exactly,
getting it like always having it on you, because if you have it on you all the time, you're going to want to smoke it, you're going to want to use it, right? Versus like
yeah,
whenever you need it, you go get it, right?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So and then since you're not carrying it, and then you're like trying to find it out in the wild. When you don't find it, you're like, all right, fuck it, whatever. You're not like feeding for it in a way because you're like, I'm not gonna buy a whole ass pack just to smoke maybe one, you know. So if I don't get it, it's whatever. So yeah,
It's
it's a good
like
thing.
it's like I'm not gonna buy Jack in the Box food, right? Sober. Just don't do that.
Yo,
Like like Helena was she was out and about and she had a craving for like tacos at Jack in the Box, right?
yeah.
And so she's calling me up. She's like, "What do you want from Jack in the Box?" And like it's just like the daytime, right? It's just like 5:30. I'm just like, "What are you talking about?" I'm not drunk, dude. Like
What did she
I didn't
get?
go no happy hour or nothing, right?
What did
She's like,
she?
"Oh man, like I eat this all the time." I'm like, "Really, dude? I only eat Jack in the Box when I'm like hammered, dude. Like,
I like their sourdough jacks like during the day. But yeah, but like at night you're like the tacos are probably not well, I'll get a sourdough jack. What did she get? What did she end up getting?
she her thing is like she has tacos, egg rolls, and like poppers, right?
Man, I used to
And those
man,
are all things that you eat when you're drunk, dude. Like,
true, that's very true. Oh my gosh. But yeah. I haven't had a fucking egg roll there in forever. I remember when first Jack in the Box came out and then you would get like the bowl, the teriyaki bowl and egg roll. I was like, no, this is crazy. Teriyaki bowl and Jack in the Box. Yeah, I'll try their egg rolls next time I'm out. Like, that's crazy. Oh my gosh, let me plug this in.
no, man. And then she was telling me about how like the one of the lady at our local Jack in the Box like doesn't give her enough sauce, and she's like talking about the story. I'm like, how often do you go to a Jack in the Box store? This is like a problem, right? She's like, I eat there like not every week, but like every once in a while, like I go eat Jack in the Box. I'm like, are you out drinking? Like, what are you doing? She's like, no, I just want Jack in the Box food. I'm like, oh,
That's,
okay.
that's awesome.
All
The
right.
bit,
I
what?
guess I've never tried it sober, so I don't really know.
And there's sourdough jacks. Like whenever I'm back in Texas, that's one of the spots I'll go just to get a sourdough jack. There's sourdough jacks though with the
No,
buttermilk.
man, but there. their chicken sandwich, their spicy chicken sandwich is pretty good. I mean, it was like the
Yeah.
first legit chicken sandwich that was spicy back in the day, right? Before
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
this whole
Exactly.
like spicy chicken sandwich war rose up.
I feel you. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I probably wouldn't get tacos or, well, I don't know, depending on how hungry I am. But I haven't had like fast food in forever. I remember moving out here and I was just craving fast food because I just wanted like a fast food burger. But then I got used to just like, okay, their fast food stuff is the delis, the bodegas. I was like, all right, so I have all these like sandwich setups. But yeah, man, like the whole, yeah. So whenever I'm in Texas, I'll stop by like Jack in the Box, like Whataburger. I'll even like fucking Dallas Taco Bueno, brother. Taco Bueno is like, but yeah. So let's look at
I
fast
feel
food
you,
joints.
man.
Yo,
Yo, but I mean, like, there's some spots up in like, I think like Carl's Jr.'s and stuff, man. But like, it's funny, like Carl's Jr.'s burgers is like the worst burger. Like,
yo,
it's good,
yo,
flavorful, right? Like, it's a great burger. But
yo.
dude, it's like on the healthy scale, that thing is bad for you.
Yeah, even when
I
even
think
you
it's like
yo,
it's like one of the few like fast food places that still has trans fats, right? I'm like, yeah, dude,
yeah,
like,
and you can feel it. You can just see it in the even in the picture. You're like, oh, that's what that yeah. They're like, oh, it just looks like trans fat. Like how much meat and how much cheese and bacon and I'm like, oh my gosh, because it used to be a Hardee's, right? Isn't Carl's Jr. used to be Hardee's, right?
yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
mean, they're like the same,
They're
right?
like the same.
I mean, like, of course, like in Cali, they're like fucking every block, man. In Carl's Jr., it's like
Fucking
Seven
Carl's.
Eleven over there.
Yeah, Carl's Jr. Fucking A. In in California, I miss Del Taco. They had a Del Taco in Austin. I don't know if it's still there, but I was in that bit. Like tacos and French fries, brother. I like. Are we drunk right now? Are me and you drunk right now?
Nah, man. Well, you get that way when you start talking about Jack in the Box food, bro. Like I'm
Yo,
just
seriously,
like most of my
man.
memories are like hunched over at a table, like
Yeah,
eating a taco because I'm like hungover.
yo. We've been to Del Taco when we were like in Vegas. They had Del Taco. Remember, we'd hit a Del Taco every now and then when we were in Vegas. Like, let's hit up that shit. That was one of the good spots. It's like it's
I
California.
don't I don't remember. I think that's the place where I had to take a shit, but that's all I remember. So,
I think that really was a place of yours.
man, dude, talk about that trip that we made from Vegas to LA, right? And
Yo,
okay, on the way back, uh, okay, when you're going to Vegas, right? There's like when you're in the plane or you're driving up to Vegas, you get real hyped, right? Like, oh, but yeah, bro, I'm here, baby. I'm fucking right here.
yeah,
Then you got all this energy coming in, right? And then but on the plane out, or when you're leaving Vegas, it's like blah. You're like,
yeah,
huh? What'd you say? Right? Like you're passed out. As soon as the people, like every plane ride from Vegas, right? Whether it's morning, daytime, nighttime, whatever it is, everybody's passed out leaving that joint, bro. Like
seriously,
you got some business people and like senior citizens that are awake, but for the most part, majority of that plane is zonked out.
yo,
Right?
seriously, like fucking passed out, like even like at the fucking airport lounge, all that shit, just fucking like whatever is your pillow, like that's fucking
But,
crazy.
me and Tim, right? We needed to be back in LA because I think you're going back to LA and me and Tim were flying out of LA, right? So we
Yeah,
were gonna
yeah,
drive back.
yeah. That's it. No, I
So
think,
we drove up, we drove up there, right? Like
yeah, yeah. Cause
got
like,
gas.
cause like, I was still in Texas at that time. We flew out to LA, cause you were working in LA, and then we flew out to you, and then I was trying to get jobs in LA, and then I had an interview on like I want to say somewhere like near Rodeo, and then like I I hopped up into the interview, and then I hopped back down. You were like at a meeting, and then Tim was outside in the rental. I hopped down from the fucking meeting. I was like from the interview. I was like, I don't even know how I did, but whatever. And then Tim's by the rental, and he's like, "How'd you do?" I was like, "We'll see." And then he goes, "All right, let's hit up Vegas." And then we fucking meet you up, and we did to fucking Vegas. That was fucking fun as shit. That was really really cool. And then yeah, we
Yeah.
just fucking went out. That was crazy.
That was a good time. And, well,
Yeah.
but so on the way back, right? Like, I mean, we had our fun, right?
Yeah.
And we were driving back during the daytime, and so we were okay, right? We were awake. We're driving back. It's a longer trek back than it is to get there,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We were just sitting there.
right?
It was like dead quiet too. We're like, damn, this is fucking nuts, dude.
And then, of course, since we're leaving Vegas, we're in a rental. We tanked up like on the way to Vegas. We didn't tank on the way out of Vegas,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then just not thinking about it, right? Like, three-quarters of a tank, whatever it is, or like a half. I think we were like a little bit past half a tank. We're like, fuck it.
Yeah. I remember that
We'll
shit.
find gas stations on the way, obviously,
Yeah.
right? But as you get closer, right, to like that running out of fuel, right? You're like, oh man, next gas station is in like 18 miles. We can do that, right? Dude, okay, so we had maybe like a tank and a half, right? So we had probably had like 46 miles to our name during in that vehicle during that
Yo,
time.
seriously. And the second
Right?
that we
And we
made,
go we go to that we go so we drive the 18 miles. We get to that exit. Oh, the gas station is closed. And it's been abandoned for years. I'm like, why the fuck do they still have this sign up, man?
I remember that shit is crazy. What the fuck?
and like, and so I was like, okay, well, like the next city over is like 13 miles, okay,
Yeah.
or the next, all right. So we hoof it like 13 miles, and dude, like we're running low on gas in the middle of the desert, okay, like this
Yeah,
is
that's just fucking wild. Like pitch dark and shit. That's just crazy.
like even if you're gonna call AAA, it's gonna be like fucking like 2 hours, and it's gonna be like a 4 hour ordeal before you even get back somewhere,
Yo.
right? And so we take it to the next 13 miles. We're like, okay, so we go ahead and exit into that city. I'm like, oh fuck. Right? The gas stations are not in the city, they're outside the city. So you gotta go to the next exit for another five
I remember
miles.
that shit.
Bro, we were cutting it.
We were
Like
cutting it for
I've
real.
never seen like the the fuel meter like actually sit on E. Sometimes it's like floating around, but this thing
Yeah.
was like on it.
On
I was
E.
like, hey,
they're,
this
they're,
thing is low, bro.
yeah,
Like,
they
take
were
it up,
like best
right?
friends just hugging and
And
shit.
then Tim's like, yo, what? Why didn't you take up, dude? What are you doing? Why didn't? And they're like, why didn't? And Tim woke up. He's like, why didn't you get gas at those 6 gas stations that were behind us? I'm like, well, we had time, right? you know.
Fucking Tim,
The
man.
next gas station was 18 miles. Yo, we were gonna get it, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
he
no
get
need to
it.
stop at the Circle K where you
Yeah.
can stop at fucking Bucky's down the street. So we make it like even from the city, so it's like another 5 miles, and then we barely turn. And like, dude, like we if it was nighttime, we would have missed this gas station because it was like an old school gas station with like 2 pumps. I was
Yeah.
like, please do not be abandoned. Right, so we pull up, people are in and out of the thing. I'm like, phew, there's people, there's commerce, right? There was only like 2 other vehicles, but like, at least there's something. So we were to
Yeah.
gas on up and get on out of
Nah.
there.
That shit was fucking crazy. Oh my gosh. But that last trip to Vegas, that like with like me, you, James, we went to EDC, and then like we went to EDC the 2 nights. That was already fun. That was crazy. Cause that was our first, was it our first EDC too? Yeah. And I was like, man, this is gonna be tiring as hell because I didn't even know what to expect. And it was our first time we went the first 2 nights, and then like the third night we're like, let's just chill and gamble and all that stuff. And then we came out like winning. Like we sat there at the last day just waiting for our Ubers, like with smiles on our faces, like yo, like we did good. Like and that was when LeBron fucking played like Golden State, and then we bet on that one too, and then we came out on top of that. We remember like celebrating on the fucking bed, like we won the championship.
I
like
mean,
I'm like
technically we did because our team did.
yeah, exactly. Because it was crazy. Because like yeah, exactly. Like all the nights before that, before uh all the trips before that, like we're just always like defeated, and we're like, oh, this is so tiring. We're like done, ready to go home after Vegas. But this one was like, we went to EDC, had a blast. Like we all experienced it together. I think it was like their 15th anniversary, and then we fucking just like we shot dice at like Bellagio and shit. Like went up in Bellagio, bet on the fucking game, and fucking won the game, and fucking we're sitting there. Remember that shit? We're just sitting there like, yo. That was we won that one. It was like Hangover, but like all wins. You know what I'm saying? Like we were sitting there. It was really cool. I was like, this is a dope ass weekend. I was like, this is really cool.
Those are the best wins, man. Those team wins, those are the
Yeah,
best wins. Like
the team wins for
it's not
real.
just you, but like everybody around you wins.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a time. It's like everybody putting their money together, right? Like, hey, let's all just chip in like $20, right?
Yeah,
And we'll just
yeah.
chip in $20.
Yo.
And let's just say there's like fucking 50 people there. It's a family reunion, right?
Yo.
Just fucking put it on 17. Put that dish on 17.
Seriously. Oh my god.
You know what I'm saying? I lost my virginity on 17. 17 is the popping number. Put it on it. Right? And then
Yo.
they fucking win. Right?
Yo.
That's what like that would have been $1,000. That would have been like 36K or 35K,
Yeah.
right? On the back out.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's pretty dope.
That's
I
pretty
mean, that's
dope.
pretty dope.
I'm saying that's like it's just some good times there. It's crazy. But yeah, it's like
Yeah, man. But no, it it's what we've been talking about, like from the the in the clubs to the restaurants to those experiences when you're young, man. It's there's this aspect of life, right? That sometimes these are great memories when you think about it, but you think back, you're like, man, did I live enough in that moment, right? Did I really truly live that moment to its fullest extent?
yeah.
Could I have, of course, maintaining safety and all that stuff like that, but like, could you have been more present?
Yeah, yeah.
And like, if for me, it's interesting because I, that's the key to like, unlocking power, right? When we were talking about victories before, right? Is being able to really unlock that power. I mean, does that make
Yeah.
sense? Wait,
Yeah, yeah. Like just being in that moment, like in that present moment, and just um feeling everything, and just like cuz flip it, right? Like whenever you're sad and all that stuff, like you accept all that, and you're feeling all that. But whenever you're happy in the moment, sometimes you feel a little bit guilty to be that fucking happy, but no, like you gotta fulfill that happiness too. If you're gonna be like this on your sad days, you gotta be even more on your fucking good days, and embrace that too. Like, cause some like just like just saying that, like some, you just feel too guilty to be like, oh, this is too much happiness. No, you're in that moment, and exactly you gotta, like you said, like fulfill that happiness that's happening, and and accept that, and fulfill it to the best of your ability, like because you work so hard for it anyway too. You gotta, you need that to get to your next levels too, as far as like taking taking it all in, taking a rest, and like, okay, like recharge, and then boom, you're ready to go for the next fucking journey. But yeah, like just being
but
president.
like aiming it even further, right? Like even closer to home, right? For presence, right? Like as an artist that you are, when you're painting, graffitiing, stenciling, doing what you're doing, right? There's a part of you that isn't thinking about anything because you're just like in that moment doing your craft, letting the artistry flow from you, what God has put in you, right? And just
Uh-huh.
you're letting it flow. And so but that moment is something that has to be, you have to let go of everything else, right? Of thinking about what it's going to be like, what the eventual picture is going to look like, or the work is going to look like. You're just enjoying that stroke, right, of the paintbrush,
Yeah, yeah,
and feeling it, right? And to me, that's where I'm like, man, that's where like presence and like real life begins, right?
yeah,
Because a
yeah,
lot of times I'll be thinking in a meeting, I'll be listening to people. But at the same time, I'm in my mind, I'm like somewhere else because I'm anticipating questions. I'm thinking about ways to move the content, move the topics, right? But at the same time, that moment of just being, I guess, present in the call or in the meeting, and just
yeah, yeah,
looking at somebody and listening to what they're actually saying, understanding, comprehending it, and like to really have a more valuable response
yeah,
is really that presence I'm talking about, right? It's that a lot of people can call a lot of things, like they can call it your flow state, all these different
yeah,
things, right? But to me, I've noticed over time is like it's something that you have. It's a cognitive behavior to me, right? Because there could be times I'm like, uh, in a meeting and I'm thinking about all these different things. I'm like, I have to like on purposely stop myself in my mind. I'm like, oh, dude, like we're here, right? These people
yeah,
are here. Talk to you. Their time is valuable. Your time is valuable.
yeah,
Let's not think about what you're gonna do tomorrow, or like as a follow up. Let's just sit here and listen to this guy, right? What's he saying? What is he really saying, right? And then you start to pick up on their body language. That's when you start to get into this like this different state, right? At least for
yeah,
me, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
but it's that it's also that you have to be on purpose with it, right? You can't just be like, oh, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm living, right? You're brushing your teeth, but are you feeling each of your teeth get brushed and all that stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just that degree of different, like of application, that makes a difference. But just something I noticed, right? That over everything that we've talked about, from our history in Vegas, driving from Vegas to LA, or from fast food, and you know how we used to eat it, and all these different things, right? It's
Yeah. Yeah, that being just being
even fast food,
yeah.
when like you're eating like a burger in Texas, right? Like, are you taking the time to like really enjoy that Texas burger because you live in New York, right? That type of thing.
Yeah, that being back to like what you're saying as far as being present in the moment. Like you said, even before like getting into the painting and stuff, like just you being present and accepting like, okay, like how are we feeling right now? It's always exactly, you gotta be in that, you gotta show up, just show up, and then that's when everything starts to flow, and you'll start showing up is just being present, and then letting that talk to you as far as like, okay, we're gonna do this today or that. Even if nothing comes, you showing up and being present, it's all part of it for sure, like how you said, just going back to like even like us hanging out in Vegas and just being in the moment, and that just showing up, like us being there in Vegas, or like like even if we're like hanging out eating fast food, just showing up, in that moment. So it's nice.
I'm with you, man. But no, I think that that's a nice one for the second episode here, man. Because we when we talked about before was around victory, David and Goliath, right? And that perseverance, that faith, that belief, right? And then flipping over to here, man, like being ready for it, actually just being in that moment, right? Thinking
Yeah,
about what David could have been thinking, he was facing Goliath. He's like, yeah, what, what's his, where was his mindset at, right? Was he worried at all? Probably not, because he was
yeah,
with God, man, and God's like, I got you, bro. Like, don't
yeah.
worry about Goliath, bro.
Yo, yeah. Just be present.
I
Just be
made
present.
I made
Yo,
that fool too, dude. Don't worry about it. I know his weak spots.
know what I'm saying? Just be exactly right. Just be present, show up, and you'll be good,
So having the faith and like everything, right? Like David is to actually show up, right?
Yeah.
And to actually execute and to like live that moment. Like, because that moment, well, you'll never get that moment again, right? And so, man, if you're gonna live that moment, live it live that moment out
Live
loud,
that moment,
right?
man.
Like,
Exactly. Cause exactly like you feel everything you feel when on the flip side, as far as like, oh, I'm having a bad day, or you're like sad and all that. But live that moment too when you're fucking just feeling all the happiness and all the things you've accomplished in that moment, like it's fine too. Like show up for that too. Show up 100% for that too, like that's just as important as the tough times, the hard times. Showing up, show up to those celebrations, it's awesome.
no doubt, man. But anyways, I think let's wrap it
Yeah,
up here, man.